At our wedding reception, my wife's father ridiculed my financial status. He confidently declared his daughter could effortlessly secure a wealthier partner while my spouse stayed quiet. Days later, when they came pleading, I had already blocked them, leaving them with 23 frantic voicemails the following morning. Be me, 28 years old, living in Sacramento, working as structural engineer at major construction company. My friend Mark keeps telling me to write this story down, says I need to get it out before moving on with my life. Not much of a writer, but here we go. Met girl named Olivia at my cousin's birthday party 3 years ago. She was there with a mutual friend, completely out of my league. The type that makes everyone stop and stare when she walks in. We started talking about some Netflix show we both watched. Can't even remember which one anymore. Exchanged Instagram handles. Was sure she was just being polite. Figured she wouldn't respond when I messaged her later. But she did. First date was at this hipster coffee place downtown. The one everyone goes to for their fancy latte art. Was nervous as hell, but she seemed genuinely interested. Asked about my family. Wanted to know about my hobbies. Everything. Told me she worked at dental office. Lived with roommate in those new luxury apartments in North Side. Things moved pretty fast after that. Within 6 months, practically living together at my place, small 2-bedroom I'd been renting for years. She stayed over 5 nights a week. Had her stuff everywhere, but kept her apartment because lease wasn't up. Should have seen that red flag. First time meeting her mom, Victoria, was 8 months in. Olivia had been weird about introducing me to family. Finally set up dinner at some fancy steakhouse, where appetizers cost more than my weekly grocery budget. The moment Victoria looked at me, felt like cattle being inspected at auction. Kept asking pointed questions about my career plans, future goals. All while side-eyeing my regular Timex watch. When Olivia went to the bathroom, Victoria leaned across table, straight up told me her daughter was used to certain lifestyle, one I'd clearly struggled to provide. Laughed it off, thinking she was joking. Her face stayed dead serious. Olivia came back. Conversation shifted to their Cancun vacation. Later that night, told Olivia her mom seemed intense. She just shrugged. Said Victoria was protective. Because Olivia's dad left them broke when she was 12. Made sense, I guess. So I didn't push it. Fast forward another year. Decided to propose. Nothing too fancy. Took her to Crystal Lake where we had our 3rd date. Got down on one knee. Ring I'd saved up for months to buy. She seemed genuinely happy. Took about 50 selfies for her stories. Immediately called her mom. Not her friends. Her mom. While we were still at the lake, that's when everything started changing. Wedding planning turned Olivia into someone I barely recognized. Suddenly everything had to be top tier. Venue that was normally booked 18 months in advance. Somehow she got us in with 4 months' notice. Mysterious, high-end florist Bloom & Company that usually only does celebrity weddings. Suddenly available for us. Kept bringing up budget concerns. Olivia would just say her mom was handling most of it. Shouldn't worry. But when deposits came due, guess whose credit card got charged? Miney. Every single time. When I'd ask about Victoria's contributions, Olivia would get this weird look, like I just insulted her entire ancestry. Say stuff like, Mom's organizing everything, that's her contribution, or she'll reimburse us after. She never did. My savings account got emptied. Then my emergency fund. Even had to dip into my land fund. Money I'd been saving for years. To buy property outside city. Never told Olivia about that fund. Becomes important later. Wedding day finally arrived. Despite everything, I was excited. Olivia looked amazing in her dress. Venue was admittedly perfect. Even my socially awkward brother Thomas managed decent best man speech. Then came time for parent toasts. My mom said beautiful things, made me tear up a bit. Then Victoria stood up, holding her champagne glass, swear the room temperature dropped 10 degrees. Started talking about how surprised she'd been when Olivia brought me home. Called me unconventional compared to Olivia's previous boyfriends. Kept mentioning how Olivia had always been attracted to ambitious men, implying I wasn't one. Guests getting visibly uncomfortable. People exchanging those yikes glances across tables. Then she dropped the line that's been haunting me for months. This poor boy thinks he can provide for my daughter. Please, she's just using him until someone better comes along. Horrible silence filled the room. Then Olivia laughed. Not nervous laugh. Not embarrassed laugh. Genuine laugh. Like her mom just told the funniest inside joke. Looked at Olivia. waiting for her to say something, to defend me, anything. But she just kept smiling at her mom, that look they've shared before, like they're the only two people in on some secret. My dad started to stand up. He's old school. Doesn't take disrespect well. But my mom pulled him back down. I just sat there, smile frozen on my face, while Victoria finished with some backhanded comment about enjoying the ride while it lasts. Before sitting down, DJ immediately cranked up music, announced first dance. Bless that man. Olivia grabbed my hand like nothing happened, pulled me to dance floor. I was in shock, just going through motions. While my brain tried processing what just happened, Olivia kept whispering about how perfect everything was, how happy she was, while I nodded like a bobblehead doll. Later that night in hotel room, finally brought up the toast, asked Olivia what her mom meant. She rolled her eyes, said I was being too sensitive. Her mom just has weird sense of humor, doesn't always land right. When I pressed about why she laughed, she got irritated, said she was just trying to smooth over awkward moment, let it drop. It was our wedding night. Didn't want to start marriage with fight, but something had shifted inside me, a doubt that hadn't been there before. Or maybe it had, but I'd been ignoring it. Honeymoon in Costa Rica was weird. Olivia all smiles and affection when taking photos for Instagram, but distant and distracted when we were alone, constantly checking her phone. When I asked who she was texting so much, got defensive, said I was being controlling, came home, tried settling into married life. But that seed of doubt kept growing. Olivia started talking about buying a house, right away, in one of those gated communities on North Ridge, where all the doctors and lawyers live. When I pointed out we couldn't afford anything there, she said her mom would help with down payment. Same story, different day. About 3 weeks after wedding. Came home early. Waterman break at job site. Olivia didn't hear me come in. She was on phone in our bedroom. Wasn't trying to eavesdrop. But when I heard my name, froze in hallway. She was talking to her mom, laughing about how I have no idea, and how Nathan says market is perfect right now. Something about establishing residency first, so prenup doesn't matter. Nathan, her ex from before me, the one who works in real estate, the one Victoria always brings up, as example of Olivia's usual type, quietly backed down hall, went outside, came in again making plenty of noise. When Olivia came out of bedroom, her phone was nowhere to be seen. She looked flustered. That night couldn't sleep, kept replaying conversation in head, connecting it to Victoria's wedding toast, to all strange little moments that never quite added up. While Olivia slept beside me, used her thumb to unlock her phone. She never changed passcode. After I caught her snooping through mine months ago, what I found made me sick. Texts with her mom talking about the plan, texts with Nathan way too friendly for supposedly just an ex, screenshots of my credit report she'd run without my knowledge, research on divorce laws in our state. Regarding assets and property, they were playing me. Had been from start. Plan was apparently to use my steady income and credit, to secure mortgage on nice house, establish residency, then divorce me for Nathan. Once prenup timeline expired, in our state person who stays in house during separation usually gets to keep it in divorce, especially if other person can't afford buyout. Wanted to wake her up right then, confront her. But something stopped me. Maybe shock. Maybe sudden realization I'd been living with stranger for 3 years. Whatever it was. Decided to play long game. See, what Olivia and Victoria didn't know, I wasn't as financially stupid as they thought. Yes, spent my visible savings on wedding, but that land fund I mentioned was actually way more than fund. Already bought 5 acres outside city limits. 3 years before even meeting Olivia. Paid in full. Deed in my name only. Been saving to build on it eventually. Never mentioned it to her, because some part of me always knew. She wasn't as invested in our future as I was. Next morning acted completely normal. Kissed Olivia goodbye as she left for work. Called in sick to my job. First time in 2 years. Spent day making phone calls. First to lawyer to understand options. Then to my buddy who runs construction crew. Finally to bank to secure accounts. For next few weeks played perfect oblivious husband. Agreed enthusiastically when Olivia suggested house hunting. Nodded along when she showed listings way above our price range. Pretended to believe her when she said her mom would help financially. Meanwhile was setting plan in motion. That would give Olivia and Victoria exactly what they deserved. Surprise of their lives? After wedding reception disaster, was in weird mental place. Know that feeling watching ceiling fan at 3 a.m., wondering how your life turned into such mess. That was me pretty much every night. After hearing Olivia laugh at her mom's speech, kept going through motions though. Woke up, made coffee, went to work, came home, watched whatever Olivia wanted on Netflix, went to bed, rinse and repeat. But inside my head, total chaos. Every time Olivia texted someone and smiled at phone, my stomach would twist. Every time she mentioned her mom calling, I'd suddenly need to take shower or check something in garage. One morning, about 2 weeks after that phone call, the one where Olivia was talking to her mom about Nathan, she left her laptop open when she went to shower. Her Gmail right there. New email from Victoria had just popped up. Subject line, next steps. Shouldn't have looked. But also absolutely should have looked. Email was basically timeline. 3 months of playing house in her mom's words. Then start looking for houses in right neighborhoods. Translation, places we couldn't afford. Get pre-approved for mortgage using my income and credit. Since Olivia's credit was trash, from maxing out credit cards her mom helped hide from me. Buy house. Establish residency. File for divorce. Keep house because I wouldn't be able to afford payments alone. There it was. Whole plan written out. Like some twisted project management timeline. And kicker. Email ended with, Nathan says market in Oakwood Estates is heating up. So we may need to accelerate. He's already found 3 listings perfect for you. Closed laptop. Made another cup of coffee. Just sat at kitchen table for like hour. Didn't even realize was sitting in dark. Until Olivia came out of bedroom. Asked why I hadn't turned on any lights. That's when decided to become silent builder. See, always been type to talk through problems. Communication and all that. But what do you do when person you're supposed to communicate with is literally plotting against you with their mom? You shut up and make your own plans. Next day called my buddy Ryan, who runs his own crew. Been friends since high school. Worked together for years before he started his own thing. Told him needed help with special project. Asked if he could meet me at my land that week. Saturday came. Told Olivia was helping Ryan with bathroom remodel. She barely looked up from phone. Just said something about being careful not to mess up my back again. Grabbed my tools and left. Ryan already at my land when pulled up. Sitting on his tailgate drinking coffee from beat-up thermos. Took one look at my face. Said I looked like hammered. Always had way with words, that guy. Didn't tell him everything at first. Just said Olivia and I were having problems. Needed to figure out what to do with property. We walked land. Showed him foundation I'd already laid. For what was supposed to be our future home. It was good foundation. Solid. Properly done. Spent weekends getting it perfect. Imagining Olivia and me building life there. Ryan asked obvious question. Was I still building house as planned? That's when finally told someone whole ugly truth. Wedding speech. Phone call. Emails. Entire scheme. Ryan sat on stack of lumber covered with tarps. Just stared at me. Then called Olivia something that would make grandmother faint. Followed by telling me needed to talk to lawyer yesterday. He wasn't wrong. Monday morning called in sick again. Went to see lawyer my dad knew. Guy was semi-retired, but still kept small practice. Explained situation. Showed screenshots of email. Played recording of Olivia talking to mom about Nathan and mortgage. Lawyer, let's call him Robert, took off glasses. Rubbed eyes like he was tired. Said he'd seen plenty divorce cases. But this level of premeditation was something special. Then asked what I wanted to do. That was question, wasn't it? Did I confront Olivia? File for divorce right away. Try salvage something clearly beyond saving. Robert advised documenting everything. Limiting financial exposure. Considering options carefully, but while leaving his office. What stuck was something he said almost as afterthought. Sometimes best revenge isn't getting even but getting ahead. That's when ideas started to form. Went back to my land that evening. Sat on truck tailgate. Looked at foundation as sun was setting. This piece of earth was mine. Fully paid for before ever meeting Olivia. Building permits in my name only. Knew every contractor, supplier, inspector within 50 miles. Plan came together. Pulled my crew together. Guys I'd worked with for years. Who I trusted completely. Told them had personal project. Needed their help on evenings and weekends. Everyone was in, even my boss. Been like second dad to me since started working for him at 19. Offered to help with materials and equipment. For next 3 weeks, lived double life. During day was clueless husband. Even started going along with Olivia's hints about house hunting. Yeah, babe, that neighborhood sounds nice. Sure, I can ask about overtime to boost our down payment savings. Of course, your mom has great taste in kitchen countertops. Evenings and weekends, though. Was building what my crew started calling Spite House. We worked like machines, got framing up in record time. Plumbing, electrical, HVAC. All installed by guys who owed me favors, or were friends willing to help for beer and barbecue. Called in every connection had for materials. Some left over from other jobs. Some at contractor pricing. Some outright donated when people heard vague details of situation. Whole time, Olivia getting bolder with plans. Started casually mentioning her mom had friend in real estate. Nathan, though she never used his name to me, began leaving mortgage calculators open on laptop where I'd see them. Even started talking about which of our furniture would look good in bigger place. One night she left phone on kitchen counter while in shower. Text from Victoria popped up. Nathan found the one showing tomorrow. Took picture of screen. Set phone back exactly where it was. Added to growing file of evidence. Next day at work, boss pulled me aside. He'd been helping coordinate deliveries to my land. Knew most of what was going on. Asked if I was doing okay. Something about genuine concern in his voice nearly broke me. Been running on autopilot for so long. Anger and determination, my only real emotions. Almost forgotten what felt like to have someone genuinely care. Admitted wasn't okay. Not really. But would be. Just needed to finish what started. That weekend things came to head. Olivia announced her mom found perfect starter home for us. Wanted to take us see it Sunday. Agreed. Then casually mentioned had surprise for her too. Something been working on. Olivia's face did this weird thing. Tried to look excited but clearly suspicious. Asked what kind of surprise. Just said it was something big. Something thought would really show how much our future together meant to me. Look that crossed her face. Mix of triumph and barely concealed disdain. Told me everything. She thought was talking about agreeing to house her mom picked out. That was finally falling in line with their plan. Suggested we make day of it Sunday. See her mom's house pick in morning. Then I'd show her my surprise in afternoon. She readily agreed. Already texting her mom about schedule change. That night, lay in bed next to woman now realized had never loved me. Felt strangely calm. Spite house nearly complete. Lawyer had all documentation needed. Had discreetly moved important papers and family heirlooms to parents' house. Over past few weeks, everything was in place. Sunday morning, Olivia spent ages getting ready, like preparing for photo shoot rather than house viewing. We drove separately to meet Victoria. Olivia saying might go shopping with her mom after. Fine by me. House Victoria showed us was exactly what we expected. Way beyond our actual budget. In pretentious neighborhood full of identical McMansions. 4 bedrooms. 3 bathrooms. Granted everything. On lot so small could hear neighbors breathing. Nathan was there too. Dressed like auditioning for real estate reality show. All white teeth and firm handshakes. Played along. Asking all right questions about mortgage rates and property taxes. Victoria kept making little comments. Don't worry about numbers, we'll make it work. While Olivia gushed over walk-in closets and soaking tub. After hour of this charade, checked watch. Mentioned time to head to my surprise. Olivia tried begging off. Saying was tired, but insisted. It's important to me. Been working on this for weeks. Something in my tone must have gotten through. She reluctantly agreed. Suggested Victoria come too, and Nathan as well if he wanted. More the merrier for big reveal. They all exchanged looks, confused but curious. Olivia texted mom something while was talking to Nathan, but eventually everyone agreed to follow in their cars, led our little convoy out of fancy suburb, through town, toward rural area where my land was. In rearview mirror could see Olivia's face getting more confused. Further, we got from civilization. When finally turned onto gravel road leading to property, felt strange mix of emotions, sadness for what could have been, anger at how been deceived, but mostly anticipation for what about to happen. As we crested small hill, Spite House came into full view, heard car tires skid on gravel behind me. As Olivia slammed on brakes, pulled up to house. My creation, parked, got out casually, waited as Olivia, Victoria, and Nathan slowly approached. their faces pictures of absolute shock. It wasn't at all what they were expecting. It wasn't what anyone would expect. Their reactions about to make weeks of exhausting work completely worth it. Just dropped bomb on Olivia and Victoria that knew about their little scheme. Look on their faces was something I'll never forget, like they'd both simultaneously bitten into something sour while getting caught with hands in cookie jar. Olivia recovered first, switching tactics faster than my old truck changes gears, which is to say not smoothly at all, went from deer in headlights to waterworks in about 2 seconds flat. Started sobbing about how I was misunderstanding everything, how she loved me, how she'd never do anything to hurt me. Meanwhile, Victoria's face turned interesting shade of red. Not embarrassed red, more like pissed off red, like how dare I catch them in their own scheme. Started talking over Olivia, saying I was being paranoid, that I was clearly unstable. Look at this ridiculous house. Actually used phrase you'll be hearing from our lawyer. Made me laugh out loud. Reminded her that in our state, we'd only been married for a few weeks. I documented all their scheming, plus pointed out land and this ridiculous house were purchased and mostly built before even met Olivia. With my own money, in my name only. Wasn't marital property. That shut them up pretty quick. Legal threats only work when you have legal ground to stand on. Olivia tried different approach, wiping away those fake tears, putting on her sweetest voice, one she used to use when wanted something expensive. Said we could work this out. Maybe she'd reacted badly to house, but we could sell it, find something we both liked. That I was overreacting to few harmless conversations with her mother. Just looked at her for a long moment. It was weird. Month ago, that voice and those eyes would have had me agreeing to anything. Now just felt nothing. Maybe little sad at how easily she could switch emotions on and off. Told her simply that wanted divorce. Had already spoken to lawyer who was drawing up papers. She could keep ring and whatever brought into marriage. But everything else stayed with rightful owner. Olivia's face did this thing, where it started to crumple, then hardened when realized tears weren't working. That's when she got mean. Started saying things about how I was never good enough for her anyway. How Nathan made 3 times what I did. Wouldn't live in clown house, her words. How she'd been faking it in bed whole time, because I couldn't satisfy her. You know those moments in movies, where insults supposed to cut deep, leave hero devastated. This wasn't one of those. Honestly, just felt relieved. Every nasty word out of her mouth just confirmed was making right choice. Victoria joined in, of course. Said I'd trapped her daughter with pathetic fantasies of building life together, that I was just jealous of people with real money and class, that no woman with options would choose someone like me. Let them go on for a bit, partly because it was actually fascinating. Watching masks come off completely, partly because saying all this stuff in front of my phone's camera, which was quietly recording whole thing. Lawyer had suggested getting their true colors on video if possible. Mission accomplished. When they finally ran out of steam, just shrugged and said it was time to go. Olivia demanded to know if was really going to make her live in that monstrosity until divorce. Told her no. She could go back to our apartment, which was in my name, pack her things and be out by tomorrow. Could stay with her mom, or Nathan, or whoever else wanted to deal with her. That set off round 2 of shouting match. Olivia insisted she had rights to apartment. Victoria threatened legal action again. Reminded them that in our state, without kids and with such short marriage, and with all evidence I had, she'd be lucky if judge didn't make her pay me alimony for wasting my time. That was BS, obviously. No judge would award me alimony. But they didn't know that. Could see wheels turning. As they tried to figure out if I was bluffing, drive back to apartment was most awkward 30 minutes of my life. Olivia sat in stony silence in driver's seat. Victoria kept trying to make phone calls in back, probably to that lawyer they were threatening me with, but couldn't get signal once we left Main Road. I just stared out the window, feeling weirdly calm. When we got back, Olivia stormed into bedroom and slammed door. Victoria told me this wasn't over. They'd make me regret treating her daughter this way. Just nodded and said she should probably help Olivia pack. Spent rest of day sitting on couch, scrolling through phone, occasionally answering texts from Ryan, asking how big reveal went. Could hear Olivia and Victoria in bedroom, alternating between angry whispers and sounds of things being thrown into suitcases. Around dinner time, Olivia emerged. Red eyes, asked if we could talk privately. Victoria looked like wanted to object. But Olivia shot her look. She backed off, saying she'd wait in car. Once Victoria gone, Olivia sat beside me on couch, closer than necessary. She wasn't crying anymore, but her voice was soft, almost like Olivia I thought I'd married. Asked if was really sure about divorce. Said maybe we'd rushed into marriage, without really knowing each other. That she was willing to try counseling if I was, for a split second. And I'm not proud of this. I wavered, not because believed her, but because hard to just turn off feelings for someone, even when you know they've been playing you. Then she made mistake. Reached out and put hand on my thigh. Let it slide up just bit. Said maybe we could talk about this in bedroom first. Try to reconnect before making any big decisions. Just like that spell was broken for good. This woman who'd been screaming at me 2 hours ago, who'd been plotting to use me and leave me, thought she could just sleep with me, make it all go away, like I was so desperate, so controlled by hormones, that I'd forget everything at promise of sex. Moved her hand, told her divorce wasn't negotiable. She should finish packing and be out by morning as agreed. Her face hardened again, all traces of softness gone, called me few choice names, said I'd regret this. The usual stuff. Then stormed back to bedroom. They left hour later. Olivia took more than just her clothes. Noticed few small valuables missing. Like watch my grandfather left me, and pair of wireless earbuds just bought. Petty but not worth fighting over. Victoria didn't even look at me as they walked out. Just kept her nose in air, like she was too good to acknowledge my existence. Apartment felt strangely peaceful once they were gone. Ordered Chinese takeout. Cracked open beer. Put on movie I'd been wanting to watch, that Olivia had always vetoed. Was nice. Different but nice. Peace lasted exactly 17 hours. Woke up next morning to phone blowing up. Notifications everywhere. Texts from friends asking if was okay. Messages on Instagram from people barely knew, asking what happened. Even email from old high school girlfriend, saying she'd heard about situation. Was there if needed to talk? Confused, I opened social media. There it was. Olivia had gone nuclear. Long post about how husband of less than month had abandoned her. Tricked her into marriage under false pretenses. Built spite house just to hurt her. She'd included couple pictures of yellow building, taken from car when we first pulled up, making sure to capture it from worst possible angles. Comment section was wild. Most of Olivia's friends were sympathetic, calling me every name in book. Few seemed skeptical, asking for more details that Olivia was conspicuously not providing. My mom had jumped into comments defending me, until Dad apparently made her stop engaging with that nonsense. Closed app without commenting. Let her have her social media moment. I had truth, the evidence, and most importantly my freedom. But Olivia wasn't done. Next came texts directly to me, alternating between angry demands, that I fix this by giving her proper settlement, and tearful pleas saying she missed me, had made terrible mistake. Blocked her number. Then she started showing up at my workplace, just happening to be driving by. When was arriving or leaving? Once she brought Nathan along, the ex she'd been planning to leave me for, I guess to make me jealous. He looked uncomfortable, like hadn't signed up for this level of drama. Almost felt bad for Guy. After a few days of this, was getting pretty tired of whole situation. My lawyer assured me divorce was straightforward, would be finalized soon, since we had no real assets to divide and no kids. But Olivia kept finding ways to drag things out, contesting every detail. What really changed game was when Olivia's friends started reaching out. At first ignored them, assuming they were just going to give me grief on her behalf. But then one of them, woman named Lily, who'd been Olivia's bridesmaid, sent me long message, saying she'd seen real Olivia. Wasn't surprised by what happened. Turns out Olivia had pulled similar stunts with previous boyfriends, not marriage part, but using guys for their money or status, then discarding them. Lily had watched it happen multiple times, finally gotten fed up with Olivia's games, offered to make statement to my lawyer if needed. Then another friend came forward, and another. Apparently Olivia had whole history of this behavior, that her carefully curated social media presence didn't show, and her relationship with Victoria wasn't loving mother-daughter bond they portrayed. Was more like Victoria was puppet master, and Olivia willing puppet. Didn't want to turn this into some big public drama. Just thanked them for their support, passed their contact info to lawyer, in case we needed character witnesses. But knowing wasn't only one who'd been fooled, made me feel little less stupid about whole thing. Most surprising call came from Nathan. The ex-boyfriend? He reached out through mutual acquaintance, wanting to meet for beer. Curious despite myself. Agreed. Met at this dive bar on edge of town, where neither Olivia nor Victoria would be caught dead. He looked nervous. Kept checking door, like expected them to burst in any moment. Said wanted me to know he wasn't in on their scheme, that Olivia had reached out to him after our wedding, claiming I was controlling and she wanted out. He admitted they'd hooked up couple times, but swore didn't know she was planning to use me for house. Said once he figured out what was really going on, cut things off. But Olivia wouldn't stop calling him. Now he was afraid she'd try to use him same way. Don't know if believed everything he said, but he seemed genuinely rattled. We ended up talking for a couple hours, comparing notes on Olivia's manipulation tactics. By end of night, weren't exactly friends, but there was weird sort of brotherhood. In both having dodged same bullet, as Nathan was leaving, he mentioned something that caught my attention. Said Olivia and Victoria had been telling people they were going to sue me for Yellow House, claiming Olivia had contributed significantly to its value through her design input, even though she'd never seen it before that day, laughed it off at time, but next morning decided might be worth taking extra precautions. Called my lawyer, asked what needed to do to make absolutely sure Olivia couldn't touch my property. He suggested few steps to protect myself legally. That's when had an idea. Way to finally put this whole mess behind me and make sure Olivia and Victoria couldn't twist narrative anymore. Made some calls, pulled some strings, set things in motion. 3 days later, invited select group to Yellow House. My parents, couple close friends who'd stood by me, Lily, Olivia's former bridesmaid, and on whim, Nathan. Didn't tell them why. Just asked them to meet me there at noon on Saturday. Surprise on their faces when pulled up to Yellow Monstrosity was priceless. But real shock was yet to come. Been about 8 months since everything went down with Olivia and Victoria. Days following house reveal were weirdly quiet. Olivia came back to apartment that night, after spending hours with her mom processing what happened. Was already there calmly packing some of my things. She walked in looking tired and puffy-eyed. Just stood in doorway watching me. Kept folding my clothes like she wasn't even there. Finally, she broke silence. Asked where I was going. Told her I'd be staying with my buddy Ryan for a while. Until we sorted things out. She nodded like this made perfect sense. Then hit me with something wasn't expecting. She wanted to try counseling. Yeah, I know. After all scheming, the lies, the literal plans to divorce me that I'd uncovered, she wanted to work on our marriage. Almost laughed in her face, but managed to keep it together. Asked her why she suddenly wanted to save relationship. She'd been actively sabotaging since before we even set our vows. Her answer was interesting. Claimed she'd gotten caught up in her mother's expectations and plans. That deep down she did care about me, but had been confused about what she really wanted. That seeing how much effort I'd put into building something, even if it was intentional monstrosity, made her realize I was serious about our future. For about half a second almost bought it. Then remembered phone call I'd overheard. Way she'd laughed at her mother's cruel wedding toast. Credit check she'd run without my knowledge. Texts with Nathan I'd seen on her phone. Told her counseling wasn't going to fix this. Nothing was going to fix this. Already filed for divorce. Papers would be delivered to her tomorrow. Her face changed so fast it was scary. Tearful, repentant wife act vanished, replaced by cold fury. She told me I'd regret this, that no one threw away relationship with her. I was making biggest mistake of my pathetic little life. Just shrugged. Zipped up my duffel bag. Told her she had 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live, since apartment was in my name. Then left while she was still screaming at me. Divorce itself was surprisingly straightforward. Had all evidence of her deception documented and organized. My lawyer was excellent. Recommendation from my boss, whose brother practices family law. Olivia tried to contest it at first, making wild claims about emotional abuse and abandonment, but her lawyer must have talked some sense into her, because they eventually agreed to clean split with no alimony. Most satisfying moment came during single mediation session we had. Olivia's lawyer tried to claim I had wasted marital assets. By building Yellow Monstrosity, my lawyer calmly pointed out that I had purchased land before our relationship began, used primarily my own labor and salvaged materials for construction, and that property's value had actually increased, despite unusual structure, because of rising real estate prices in area. Mediator asked if I had any documentation of property's value. Handed over appraisal I'd had done week before. Turned out land alone was worth nearly 3 times what I'd paid 5 years earlier. Bazaar house was actually non-issue, since any serious buyer would just demolish it anyway. Mediator actually smiled little when looked at photos attached to appraisal. Olivia's face when realized I was walking away with valuable asset, while she got nothing. Priceless. Probably same look she'd planned for me to have. When she eventually left me for Nathan, after securing mortgage in both our names. Speaking of Nathan, turns out he wasn't as invested in their little plan as Olivia thought. About a month after I moved out, ran into mutual friend at hardware store, who told me Nathan had started dating someone else. Real estate client with actual money, not just schemes. Olivia had apparently shown up at his office, having full meltdown about it. Security had to escort her out. Victoria's reputation took hit too. She'd always presented herself as this classy, wealthy widow who was just looking out for her daughter. But once word got around about what she'd tried to pull, and trust me, in our mid-sized city word travels fast, people started connecting dots. Turned out she'd pulled similar schemes before, encouraging Olivia to date men with good financial prospects, then helping her extract whatever benefits she could before moving on. Nothing illegal, just deeply manipulative and unethical. Several women from Victoria's supposed friend circle quietly distanced themselves. Her standing invitation to country club charity committee somehow got lost. She was still invited to events, but no longer seated at good tables. As for me, life got better. Way better, actually. Moved in with Ryan temporarily, but within 2 months found small place of my own to rent. While figuring out next steps, work picked up. My boss gave me more responsibility and decent raise. After seeing how I handled everything, turns out emotional stability and not being actively scammed by your wife makes you more productive. Who knew? Decided to hold on to land for now. My crew and I spent few weekends demolishing yellow monstrosity, which was oddly therapeutic, and cleaning up property, thinking of eventually building something. House I'd originally planned maybe, but just for me, or maybe I'll sell it when market peaks. No rush to decide. Dating again has been weird. Was upfront about my divorce with first woman I asked out, expecting it to be deal breaker. But she was surprisingly cool about it. Said her sister had gone through something similar, and she understood trust issues. We went out few times but didn't really click. Been on a handful of first dates since then. Nothing serious yet, but nice to be reminded that not every woman is running long con. Most unexpected development came about 3 months ago. Was at Home Depot picking up supplies when literally ran my cart into someone else's. Started apologizing before even looked up, and realized it was Lily, Olivia's former maid of honor. Talk about awkward. She looked mortified to see me. I was ready to just nod politely and escape down another aisle. But then she blurted out that she'd wanted to contact me for months to apologize. Said she'd known some of what Olivia was planning, but not full extent, and she'd felt horrible about it ever since. We ended up getting coffee afterward. She told me she'd had falling out with Olivia about 2 months after our split. Apparently, Olivia had expected all her friends to take her side automatically. And when Lily suggested maybe Olivia should reflect on her own actions, Olivia had gone nuclear and cut her off completely. Lily and I have become unlikely friends. Nothing romantic. She's engaged to Guy, who seems genuinely nice, but it's been healing to talk to someone who knew Olivia well, and can confirm I wasn't crazy or paranoid. She's filled me in on some aftermath from Olivia's side, most of which I wouldn't have known otherwise. Like fact that Olivia and Victoria had to downsize to smaller apartment, because they couldn't afford their previous place without my income contributing, or that Olivia had to postpone her advanced certification because she couldn't get approved for loans. Olivia herself has tried to contact me twice, once through mutual friend, asking if we could talk about what happened. I declined. Second time was more direct. She showed up at my new place unannounced. Still not sure how she got a dress. I was thankfully not home, but my neighbor told me she'd sat in her car outside for nearly an hour before leaving. Heard through grapevine she's telling anyone who'll listen that I tricked her and wasted a year of her life. She conveniently leaves out part where she was planning to use me for mortgage, then leave. Classic Olivia. Victoria seems to have accepted defeat more gracefully, if only because she's busy trying to salvage her social standing. Last I heard, she was heavily involved in some church group, playing role of devoted mother supporting her daughter through difficult divorce, I'm sure she's already scouting for Olivia's next target. As for me, life goes on. House I'm renting has decent yard. Where I've started growing tomatoes and peppers, my buddy's dog comes over to visit sometimes. And I'm thinking about getting one of my own. Work is steady and I'm saving up again. Started playing basketball on Thursdays with some guys from work. Nothing exciting, just normal life stuff. That feels good after all drama. Oh, and I did one more thing. That felt important for closure. Remember original plans I had drawn up for house? I wanted to build for Olivia and me. Finally dug them out of storage, looked them over one last time, then ceremoniously shredded them while drinking beer on my back porch, then pulled out fresh notepad, started sketching something new, something just for me. It's smaller, more practical, but with killer workshop space and covered deck for rainy days. No idea when I'll build it, but feels good to be planning something. That's not tied to lies or manipulation. Still have moments where something will remind me of Olivia or whole mess, and I'll feel flash of anger or sadness. Ryan says that's normal. And it'll probably happen less as time goes on. He's probably right. 8 months isn't that long in grand scheme of things. If there's any lesson in all this, I guess it's to trust your gut. Knew something was off from first time I met Victoria, but ignored it because was so caught up in Olivia. Ignored a lot of red flags, because wanted so badly to believe, had found someone who genuinely cared about me. Next time, if there is next time, I'll pay more attention to those little warning signs. Way someone treats waitstaff. How they talk about their exes. Whether their actions match their words. All stuff that seems small in moment, but adds up to who person really is. Life goes on, right?